Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma. We're going to continue today with another section, another chapter of the Shama'il, the characteristics, the prophetic personality of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today, we're going to be doing Babu ma ja'a fi tawadi' Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today we're going to be talking about the chapter of Tawadi'. Tawadi' it means humbleness. Okay, it's a chapter of humbleness. It's the chapter talking about the humility of the Prophet, the way that the Prophet actually used to carry himself. Sometimes when we're trying to explain something, when we're trying to give a proper analogy or try to give somebody a proper understanding of something, we use the opposite in order to communicate that understanding. So the opposite here of tawadu' is actually kibr, okay? And kibr is to have like a lot of pride, for somebody to be very prideful in something. The thing about kibr is that the only time someone should be able to have that much pride over something, the only time somebody should be able to have so much, be so, not happy, but have so much pride, be so prideful over something, is in the event or in the situation where they have complete control over everything, okay? They have complete control over every single thing and they have no flaws. Okay, a person is allowed to be prideful when they have no flaws at all. And because the nature of human beings is that we're all flawed, we all have many flaws and we don't have control over anything, despite how much we think we have control over things. We don't have control over anything. It is not befitting and it's not appropriate for any of us to have kibr, or for any of us to have that sense of pride, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is Al-Mutakabbir, okay? The one who is prideful. And this is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no flaws and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has control over everything. So he has the authority to have that pridefulness. There are some attributes and some characteristics, some names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us or the Prophet shows us that we should try to embody. And there are some things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want us to embody. One of the types of characteristics in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to embody is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahimuna. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that those of you who are merciful to others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy on them. So that's something, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is known to be Ar-Rahman, so we should embody being merciful to other people. Now, there are some names, some things in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want us to imitate, and not even some qualities in which we don't even have the right to even have, okay? There's nothing, we don't have the right to have them. And that's one of them is kibr, okay? We don't have the right to have that because we don't have any type of control over anything. Rather, we should be exercising humbleness. Now, in order for us to know where we should exercise humbleness or how we should exercise humbleness, we have to view the areas in which we exercise arrogance. We have to view the areas in which arrogance is easy to like enter into our lives. For example, in terms of wealth, right? Excuse me. Wealth is the area in which people show their arrogance, people show off and things of that nature. And that's a big area where, since that's an area of where arrogance can be shown, that's also an area where humbleness can be displayed. In strength, okay, like the people of Ad, for example, they had a lot of strength. They were given the miraculous nature to be able to carve their homes out of mountains and things of that nature. And what they said was, there's nobody better than us. Like, we're so great. We did this. We have this much strength. We're able to carve our home out of these mountains, etc., so on and so forth. And because of how great they thought that they were, then they basically exhibited a lot of arrogance in that regard, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dealt with them accordingly. What's very interesting is that they were so prideful over their strength, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the punishment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon them was actually a very heavy wind that took them away. And imagine being destroyed by wind. That was their destruction. Some people show arrogance, or their arrogance displays in terms of their intelligence, right? You think that, I'm smarter than this person, that makes me better, right? The thing about all of these things is that we have to always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who blessed us with all of these qualities, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who blessed us with every single one of these qualities. And just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with these qualities, He has blessed other people with these qualities as well. And there are probably people who are far better than us, in the different things that we're good at. And so keeping that in mind, that there's a narration from the Prophet said that a person who has pride will not enter into paradise. So we should try our best to rid ourselves of pride, and we learned that from the Prophet. The beauty of the Prophet is that if there's anyone who had any right or reason to exhibit some type of pride or some type of pride, it would have been him. But the Prophet was very, very humble. The Prophet said that whoever humbles themselves in this world, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate that person. A person who is full of themselves, okay, forgets who they were created by, forgets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them, and it's a very slippery slope, okay? Now, what is humbleness? How do you be humble, right? Sometimes people think that calling themselves names, like terrible names, saying like, oh no, I'm nothing but a fly. Okay, I'm nothing in this world but a drop of water. Like being very dramatic about how you refer to yourself and calling yourself terrible names and things of that nature is how you show humbleness. That's not the case. There was actually a time when Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was walking by a young man, and the young man was walking, he was like hunched over, and he was like looking like an old guy. He was looking very old. And Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu asked him, what is wrong with you? Are you sick? Okay, are you sick? And then the boy, the young man, he said, no, I'm walking humbly. And Umar bin Khattab said, no, this is not humbly. Rather, showing the strength that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you in your youth, that is being appreciative to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and just not trying to like overpower other people or show off, and that would be your humbleness. So true humbleness is not earned in front of the eyes of people, rather it's earned in front of your prayer mat. It's earned on your prayer mats, earned in the depths of the night in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if somebody has to walk around and say, oh, I'm being humble, okay? If somebody has to walk around and say, oh, I'm being humble, then that means that person is not necessarily being humble. That should be something that is noticed within you, right? So let's go on to the first narration. In the very first narration, the Prophet says, "An ibn Abbas and an Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhum." So this narration is from Umar ibn Khattab and ibn Abbas radiallahu anhum. Qala, he said, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Messenger of Allah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "La tuturuni kama atrat nasara ibn Maryam." He says, don't praise me, don't exceed in praising me like kama atrat nasara, like the Christians exceeded in praising Ibn Maryam, the son of Maryam, meaning Isa alayhi salam. Innama ana abdun. Indeed, without a doubt, innama ana, I am just a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fakulu Abdullah, then so say that he is the slave of Allah, wa rasuluhu, and the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's very beautiful here is that the Prophet is teaching us the etiquette of praising somebody. That it's not appropriate, it's not befitting, it's not even healthy to overpraise somebody. You shouldn't say that this person you shouldn't give somebody like 2 hours worth of praising before you introduce them to a group of people. Just say a couple of nice things about them and then keep it pushing. But what's very beautiful here is that even the people in the past, the way that they were praised by things that were true. Like, for example, the Imam Bukhari was known as the hadith pioneer. And that's because he dedicated his whole life to that, right? So the different people were praised in different ways, but it wasn't excessive, it wasn't too much, okay? And so the Prophet says, don't overpraise me, don't exceed in praising me, because that is what kama atarated nasara, that is what the Christians did in excessively praising Isa alayhi salam, ibn Maryam, the son of Maryam. And then the Prophet introduces himself. And how does he introduce himself? The very first way he introduces himself, he says, innama ana abdun. First and foremostly, I am a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, Fakulu, so say Abdullah, that he is the slave of Allah, wa Rasuluhu, and there are some who are amongst the servants of the slaves of Allah who are messengers, and I am a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that was the humbleness of the Prophet. In another narration, the second narration, the Prophet, in the second narration, it goes, An Humaydin an Anas ibn Malik anna imra'atan ja'at ila Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Anas ibn Malik, he narrates that a woman came to the Prophet, okay? A woman came to the Prophet. Who is this woman? There's a difference of opinion. But some say that she had, depending on the different narrations that you take, and if you put all of the different narrations together, some say she had a little bit of a mental disability. Others say that she was completely fine. But there's a woman who came to the Prophet, okay? فَقَالَتْ لَهُ, she said to him, إِنَّ لِي إِلَيْكَ حَاجَةً. She said, I need something from you. Okay, I would like to speak to you about something in private. She says, I need something for you. All right? إِنَّ لِي إِلَيْكَ حَاجَةً. I need a favor. I need something from you. I'm in need. Okay? فَقَالَ, so he said, اجلسي في أي طريق المدينة شئتِ أجلس إليك. He said, find any street in Medina that you would like to sit, and I'll come and join you there and listen to you. أجلس إليك, I will come and join you there and listen to you. Like, think about this. The Prophet was being so accommodating. He didn't say, okay, meet me at this place at this time, and if you miss your window, then you can't come back. I can't talk to you. I'm so busy. I'm taking care of the entire ummah. He tells her, he says, اجلسي, you go and sit في أي طريق in Medina, in whatever street in Medina شئتِ, whatever that you want to. أجلس إليك, and I will sit with you and listen to you. Was another thing here is that, the Prophet didn't care whether a man or a woman came to him. He would help out and he would make himself available and accessible. The Prophet was extremely accessible. He didn't tell people, I'm too busy for you. He was extremely accessible. But look at the etiquette in which the Prophet made sure that he facilitates to listen to this woman. He tells her to sit in any street in Medina, meaning this is a very public place, okay? It's a very public place, but he doesn't make it sound very restricting, calling your attention to it now is what made you realize that, oh, okay, this is a public place. But before, he didn't make it, so restricting to her. He just tells her, "Ay tariq in Medina, in the street in Medina, and I'll come and sit with you." And the other narrations say that she talked for a very long time until she was satisfied. The Prophet gave her advice, and then they departed ways. In hadith number 3, عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يعود المريض. That Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and we talked about Anas ibn Malik. Anas ibn Malik, his mother put him in the care of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay, his mother put him in the care of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Anas ibn Malik served as somebody who would be around the Prophet a lot, and he would just narrate things about the Prophet a lot. So Anas ibn Malik says that the Prophet used to ya'udul marid. He was not too busy to visit the sick, right? Sometimes when we think about like celebrities, and we think about people who are running companies and CEOs and governors and things of that nature, they're so busy that when they show up to a hospital to visit somebody who's sick, it's like a photo op, They show up, they take pictures, whatever the case may be. And it's like, oh man, this is so great. Like, you're so busy, you were able to take out this time once a year to visit. But the Prophet was very frequent in visiting the sick. وَيَشْهَدُ janais, and he was very frequent in attending different janazas. He would attend funerals. And then it says, وَيَرْكَبُ الْحِمَارِ. The Prophet used to ride a donkey. All right, he rode a donkey, and what that means here is that he was very humble in the things that he had. He didn't he didn't ride like a stallion horse, which would be considered like a Ferrari, for example. Prophet had his humble little Honda, you could say, and he rode that. He rode a donkey. There were times where he would go visit people. He didn't even go on a donkey because maybe he didn't have one at that time. So he would actually go on foot, and it would be very far. So the Prophet used to ride a donkey. There are people that we know today that, in terms of like the entertainment business and people who are busy running, governors and stuff like that, they wouldn't be caught dead in a Honda, showing up to like a press conference in a Honda or whatever the case may be. But the Prophet ﷺ did not care about these types of material things. وَيَرْكَبُ الْحِمَارِ He rode a donkey. وَيُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الْعَبْدِ And he didn't care who invited him. You know, the slave would be considered the last person that somebody would entertain an invitation from. But the Prophet ﷺ, وَيُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الْعَبْدِ He always answered the invitation of a slave, of anybody that invited him, but particularly of a slave. And the Prophet ﷺ would go to and honor that invitation. وَكَانَ يَوْمَ بَنِي قُرَيْظَةَ عَلَى حِمَارٍ مَهْدُودٍ بِحَبْلٍ مِّن لِيفٍ وَعَلَيْهِ إِكَافٌ مِّن لِيفٍ That on the day of the battle of Banu Qurayza, when the Prophet ﷺ was going for Banu Qurayza, and that's towards the later part of his life, okay? This is towards the end of the later part of the Prophet ﷺ's life. The Prophet ﷺ was riding a donkey, and that donkey, the reins of it were made of date palm leaves, okay? And the saddle was also made of date palm leaves. It wasn't very comfortable. It wasn't very fancy. It wasn't made out of silk. It didn't have any adornments. This is how the Prophet ﷺ rode to battle. He didn't ride to battle in a very arrogant way. He just rode on his donkey. So this is the manner in which the Prophet ﷺ was. In another narration, also by Anas ibn Malik, and Anas ibn Malik قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يدعى إلى جبز الشعير that the Prophet ﷺ, attended, okay, when he was called to attend into invitations, or he was invited somewhere, that they had what was called bread made out of barley. So it's not very rich food, okay? It was not very rich food. They had bread that was made out of barley, and they had like old fat, meaning that stale fat, meaning that the food wasn't very fresh. The food wasn't very fresh. But the Prophet didn't deny it for yujibu, that he always accepted. وَلَقَدْ كَانَ لَهُ دِرْءٌ عِنْدَ يَهُودِيٍّ Okay, he always accepted. He would go without hesitation. And the Prophet he also, وَلَقَدْ كَانَ لَهُ دِرْءٌ عِنْدَ يَهُودِيٍّ He had taken out a loan, so he had basically pawned off his armor to a Jew. Okay, so the Prophet needs some money, so he took his armor, he pawned it off to a Jew. فَمَا وَجَدَ مَا يَفُكُّهَا حَتَّى مَاتَ He didn't have the money, he didn't have the means to go and even release that armor. He didn't have enough money to go and release that armor, and even he passed away to the end of his life. The Prophet passed away, and he wasn't able to release that armor. And it's actually said that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he's the one who released that armor of the Prophet, the one who had bought that armor that the Prophet, he had went and paid off the debt. It wasn't a debt. He had went and paid to get the armor back. So the Prophet, whenever he would get money and it's possible that he could have released it, it would go straight back to the people. It would go straight back to the people. The Prophet wasn't poor because he was just poor. The Prophet was poor by choice. He chose to be poor. He would go, he was very generous. He would give to the people. And so the Prophet had pawned his armor, and he wasn't able to release that armor because he had passed away with insufficient funds. In the next narration, hadith number 5, عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله تعالى عنه قال لم يكن شخص أحب إليهم من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم that there is no person that was more beloved to the people than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, there is no person that was more beloved to the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, more beloved to the companions than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Anas ibn Malik continues. He says, وَكَانُوا إِذَا رَأَوْهُ لَمْ يَقُومُوا Whenever they saw him, they didn't stand. Okay. Whenever they saw him, they didn't stand. Why didn't they stand? Because لِمَا يَعْلَمُ مِنْ كَرَاهَتِهِ لِذَلِكَ Because they knew that the Prophet disliked that. They knew that the Prophet didn't like it. The Prophet didn't want to make it feel like kings were walking into the room. He didn't like it when it was kind of the situation like the Romans and the Persians and things of that nature. Now, there's a principle in our tradition called al-amru fawqa adab, okay? That the one who's like, if your teacher is commanding you to do something, you have to do that, and that goes above your adab. Like that's your adab is to follow what your teacher tells you to do. So the fact that the Prophet told them not to stand, that is the only reason why they didn't stand. But there's nothing wrong with actually standing. That the Prophet himself had encouraged actually the Ansar to stand when one of their leaders had come into the room. It's just the Prophet did not like for them to stand when he came into the room. In another narration, the Prophet says, and Anas ibn Malik narrates, and Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لو أهدي إلي قراء لقبلت. If you gifted me, if somebody gifted me, okay, even a foot of a goat as a present, if somebody gave me even a foot of a goat as a present, laqabiltu, I would accept it. Imagine some of us now these days, we don't accept any gifts that anybody gives us. We're like, oh, they could have gotten something better. I'm sure they could have afforded this. They could have afforded that. No, the Prophet said that even if the gift was a foot of a goat, I would accept it. وَلَوْ دُعِيتُ عَلَيْهِ لَأَجَبْتُ. And even if I was invited to partake in just that, if you only have a little bit of food and you invited me to partake in that, then I will accept and I will come. In another narration, this narration is actually by the son of Abdullah bin Salam, who used to be a rabbi prior to the Prophet entering into Medina. سمعت يوسف بن عبد الله بن سلام. I heard Yusuf, the son of Abdullah bin Salam, say, قال سماني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يوسف. That the Prophet he named me Yusuf. He chose the name Yusuf for me. That the Prophet saw his beauty and chose the name Yusuf for him. وَأَقْعَدَنِي فِي هِجْرِهِ. That the Prophet put him into his lap. وَمَسَحَ عَلَى رَأْسِي. And the Prophet with his blessed hand had rubbed over his head, would rub over his head. This is the Prophet. Abdullah bin Salam used to be a Jewish rabbi, and then he became Muslim and had a kid. And the Prophet named his kid. And the Prophet didn't just stop there. He didn't just come doing orders. The Prophet put him in his lap and he would rub his head. He would sit with him and he would rub his head. So the Prophet wasn't too busy to take time out for kids. The Prophet was very humble in that regard. In the next narration, عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حج على رحل رث وكتيفة. That the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم performed Hajj on a saddled camel on which was a cloth. Okay, it was just a cloth. Okay. كنا نرى ثمنها 4 دراهم. We think that they're saying that we think it was worth about 4 dirham, $4. That it was not comfortable. The Prophet went from Mecca to Medina to perform Hajj on a camel that had just a cloth. The saddle was just a cloth, and it could have been worth maybe, if even, around 4 dirham, around 4 dirhams. فَلَمَّا اسْتَوَتْ بِهِ رَاحِلَتُهُ. And when he would get up on it to ride it, قال, he would then say, لبيك بحجة لا سمعة فيها لا رياء. Then he would say, oh Allah, accept from us. He would say, we're answering the call. Oh Allah, accept from us a Hajj that is free from show and free from fame. That we're not here to show off. We're here to submit ourselves to you, Ya Allah. And then the very last narration that we'll cover today is when Amrata قالت لعائشة, that Amra radiallahu ta'ala anha, she came to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and she asked Aisha, ماذا كان يعمل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بيته? What did the Prophet do in his home? That Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha says, قالت كان بشرا من البشر. That he was a human from among others humans. Like he was a human like no other. But the Prophet كان بشرا من بشر. He was a human from other humans. The Prophet was very human. يفلي ثوبه. That he would, clean off his clothes. That if there was some lice there, if there was some bugs, if there was something dirt, he would clean it off. وَيَحْلُبُ شَاتَهُ, and he would milk his own goats. Okay, the Prophet he didn't need anybody to service him. وَيَخْدُمُ نَفْسَهُ, he was in the did all his work by himself. The Prophet didn't say, okay, I need you to do this, I need you to do. He wasn't like somebody who would go around telling people, commanding people to do things. The Prophet was so humble. He took care of his own clothes. He took care of his own food. The Prophet really took care of himself. And so we're in here with the humbleness of the Prophet. I pray that we are all able to benefit from everything that we learn here today. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, allows for us to be humble people. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts our Ramadan. And for those of us who are not feeling well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in the best of health. And for those of us who are well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to allow our health to be good. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خيرا. If you today is Giving Tuesday, so please go to RCM's website. Please go to the RCM page on Facebook, and please donate to help sustain these types of works that we do here at RCM, and that we're able to keep things running, keep programs going, keep the masjid up. Today is Giving Tuesday, and Facebook will match every donation. So please go and donate on our Facebook page. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.